Hello, everybody. It is me, the one and only Pacific. Wow, it's been a while, folks. It's been busy. It's been busy at work, busy on the weekends, and I'm exhausted. And today I'm coming to you with a video of kind of some bits and pieces, some questions that I say I have forgotten now. When I get to heaven, I won't be asking because everything will be known. Where do I start? Update on my son. Went yesterday to go see him in the lockdown facility. I think after a month, this has truly woke him up. I hope so. His mother had no intention of taking him back. It looked like last night we were both heading to just say, put him in a state group home, whatever. She relented. I paid his bail and gave her the check so that she can go do it because this involves her. That's why he's there, because of the stealing and all that. And I can honestly say that I see a difference in my son's countenance. And this is what he said about Bill Christ. He said, I hate him. He says, I've been in here 1 month and I realized that hanging around him has caused me. He says, I take responsibility for my choices, but he did not help me to make good choices. His influence was not good. And I said, do you really mean that? He said, yes. Probation is going to order him that he is not to hang around any more adults or anybody that his mother and I do not approve of, under any circumstances. He's agreed to that. If he skips school, if he hits her, if he steals things, if he violates his probation, anything, he will be committed for 1 year. I think he's finally got it. But yet again, when my ex showed up yesterday, now mind you, I don't owe her anything. Nothing at all. She seems to not realize that. I didn't owe her car repairs. I don't owe her a darn thing. She has burnt and spent her money. She claims she has no money. She claims she has no credit card. And we still don't have all the story on that. When I visited my son on Labor Day, I said, what about the credit card? She's saying you ran $1,000. He says, Dad, has she ever furnished any proof of that? And I said, no, I asked her to a year ago, and she didn't. He said, Dad, I never used her credit card. Never. He said, the radio-controlled vehicles, I won them. I won 3 of them. I have good reason to believe that my ex is also lying. And it's interesting to listen to her say to him, you're a chronic liar. And internally, I want to say, and so are you, madam. One of the questions I have for God now is, how is it that men are more likely to admit their boneheadedness than a woman? I asked 2 black African-American co-workers from the other terminal, why are women less likely to admit they're wrong and walk around thinking they've done everything flawlessly? The 2 women I asked are born-again Christians. I don't even recall exactly what their answer is, but the long and short of it is, we don't really know, but you're right. 2 females agreed with me that women have a very hard time ponying up, so to speak, when they have erred. While we're sitting in the room waiting for social services and the different authorities to come in, ex-wife starts to grandstand again. I have done everything. I've done the best I can. I've been all alone in this. And I said, you need to stop that. I cut in. I said, because I'm going to tell you something. In this meeting today, if I have to, I'm going to make a scene. I've had enough of you grandstanding. I'm not grandstanding. You are grandstanding. It's always about you. You did everything. You did. I don't dare mention you have screwed him up more than I have by 100% margin. I don't dare say that. I don't need to pay his bond. I did it because I love him. But I looked at him and I said, I'm going to tell you now, if you screw up and you get committed for a year, I'm going to say, right on. He said he's had to mop floors, clean toilets. He's read 10 books. He started reading the Bible. He has complied with everything. There's a kid in there currently who's 13 years old who just shot his father and killed him with a gun. I said, why is he in a detention facility and not in jail? Because they keep him there till he's 18, and then he goes to jail with a life sentence. My son said, yeah, I've talked to him. My son got done mopping the bathroom floor. He went in to use the toilet. He heard a noise. He saw a puddle going under his stall come out, and the kid's got his pants down and whizzing on the stall metal. And he's like, what the F? He told me stories that the kids there's just enough wiggle room in the door to the jam, and the kids are kicking in their cells, banging. He said, I got a migraine. I said, so how are you sleeping? You staying up all night? He says, I'm actually on a normal sleep pattern. I said, what about all your sickness? What about all your anxiety, depression? He said, I realized my depression was caused by the funk I was in. He said, I'm lifting weights. I felt his arms. They're actually firm. I said, good job, man. So I'd appreciate my viewers' continued prayers for his emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being. That as he comes home to a completely stripped down, cleaned bedroom, I said, I don't want to see that bedroom a mess ever again. I would also ask my viewers to pray for his mother, because I believe that woman has provoked him to wrath over and over again. I was married to her for 14 years. I don't know if I told you, my viewers, this, but this is very interesting, and I should have ran when I first heard this while we were dating. This is what she said to me. I was the perfect child. I complied with everything. I was the perfect child. And my mother was so mean to me. Viewers, is there such a thing as a perfect child? I don't think so. We have a woman at work. She's been working for transportation for years. She knows that routes can run late, traffic, stuff like that. She has time where she's not driving, but she gets paid for it. And it is dispatcher's prerogative to say, I need you to cover this route. Almost every day she gets on the radio. This is a born-again Christian woman. You know, the one with, when she has a sleeveless shirt and that part of her poochy armpit goes like this. It's gross. Sorry, just saying. She's not married. She's still looking for the perfect one. Even her own girl friend said, oh, she's very picky. I said, she's picky? Who's going to be picking her? She gets on the two-way. Dispatch, is this going to make me late? I have to be off at 5. Dispatcher now just says, you need to talk to your supervisor. Other people are coming up and coming to me. Did you hear so-and-so on the radio? I said, oh, yeah. Even one of the other women in there said, I'm getting so tired of hearing Miss Princess on the radio that she can't do anything, and she doesn't want to be late. And if she can't handle the job, why don't she just quit? When we signed up for this job, we know what we're in for. This is not the 5 o'clock office. I'm done. Bye-bye. You're done when your route's done. Barring accidents, snowstorms, student management, and diversions that dispatch could send us. The hike I was supposed to go on today to to ascend a 14,000-foot summit was aborted. 8 people signed up. Tentative more were going. All of a sudden, things popped up. Everybody couldn't make it, except 2, myself and a person who's on the professional side of transportation, not a driver, not really connected with the drivers. Young lady dresses in sheer see-through, tight-fitting, and she knows she's good-looking, and she walks out of the break room and loves to eat up the attention she's getting. When she first said she was going, I thought, do you think you could really make it up the mountain in those little high heels? I didn't say that, but I thought, I don't know. So I told her, I said, somebody has a car to fix, somebody has this to do, they're all bailing. She goes, oh, well, let me see if I can get a couple more people. Are you still going? I said, I'm going if other people are going, but if not, I'm not going to go by myself. Pacific's not afraid. But as a kid, I learned something called the buddy system. When you go into the backcountry, you need to have somebody with you. There's a man who claims he's climbed every 14,000-foot peak. I think there's 52 in Colorado, all by himself. The problem is that if you run into trouble and you don't have somebody with you, you're kind of screwed. So I went up to her on Thursday and I said, hey, did you find other people? She said, no. I said, do you still want to go? Because I said, I'm willing. I'm really interested in climbing. Oh, no, I'm not going to go with just you. We should have at least 2 other people. Oh, yes, the petrified American woman that thinks every male wants to get down her pants. Yeah, I've always wanted to have sex with a hot little woman who knows she's hot on the top of a 14,000-foot peak. Get real, lady. That was sarcasm, viewers. Yet you dress provocative every single day. You come out when I'm clearly not looking your way. Hi, how's it going? Why do you try to get my attention? Why do you tease? One of the other gentlemen was talking to me in the afternoon when we were waiting at the school to pick up our respective routes, kids. He said, yeah, she's a tease, ASS. And I said, you think? He says, Pacific, I have to look down at the floor when I walk in there because she is a major distraction. And then he added, he says, and she knows it. She talks in that contrived, she is less than half my age. Not married, single, talks in that, always professional demeanor. And one day I was in the kitchen not talking to her in our break room. She comes out and I said to somebody, I said, have you seen the way these young women dress today? And I wasn't talking about her, and she just happened to walk in. She chimes in and says, I think a woman can wear everything they want. I said, actually, there's some places where that anything they want is inappropriate, like the workplace, cleavage showing, tight fitting, your butt sticking out under your skirt, that kind of thing. All of a sudden, she got real quiet. Because at that point, she knew I was talking to her. One of the questions I have for God is, how is it that somebody can be so convinced in their mind they've done nothing wrong, and everybody else around in the perimeter looking in can go, you carry some guilt, lady. She sat there and tried to tell me before the authorities came, it takes 2. It says in the Bible, it takes a mother and father. And I said, you know what? And I said, don't educate me, because I don't need your education. I wanted to say, you don't live one shred of Christianity. You drink to get drunk. You're going to concerts of musicians that are just ungodly to the core. You're not running around with godly, committed, devotion to God type women. You yell and cuss at our son. You blame everything on everybody else. And then yesterday, I said, well, son, if you do come home, you got a clean room. He smiled. She adds, yeah, the cats love it in there now. She says, you know, I got some sage and I burned it in every room in the house and I burned it in there. She looks me in the eye and she goes, you know what sage is? I said, yes, I know what sage is. She goes, but there's a whole different feel of the house. I said, oh, you mean it smells better? Oh, no, sage is for getting rid of negative energy. Huh? And I just looked at her and I became a deer in the headlights. I'm like, don't say anything, Pacific, or you'll walk into another trap. What part of New Age do you not understand? Viewers, can I say something? And yes, I know there's probably some women here that believe in some funky stuff. Sage doesn't get rid of negative energy. In fact, nothing gets rid of negative energy. What is negative energy? Let's break that down. There's positive and negative to a power source, right? So what is negative energy? Well, it's one of those buzzwords. She tried to wax eloquent about, well, you know, son, you got to change your heart, because if you don't change your heart, we can have all the rules. How about if you change your heart, Mama? You haven't done it at all. You haven't matured 1 ounce. I clean the room, your thanks to me with a thank you, and then you crap on me again. My question to God, and the reason I'm airing these questions, because I have many. Because we're sailing along after we get saved, going, oh yeah, God is great. Some of us get into our little Christian rock and we suddenly have this epiphany. Oh, Michael W. Smith has this great song and I just felt such oneness with God, and yeah, whatever. But we sail along, and I admit I'm a little more cynical now than I was then. I admit it. So pardon me. For new Christians that are tuning in, you know, please understand, I got some miles on you guys. Welcome to the faith. But there will come a time, if you are maturing, if you are growing, if you're truly a child of God, where God's going to bring some things into your life that is going to cause you to go, hey, wait a minute, God, what's the deal here? And if that doesn't happen to you, A, you didn't become a Christian. B, you became a Christian, but you just stagnated, a diapered saint, you know, babies for Jesus. When we talk about faith, Pacific has no problem defending the very word of God. Theology will come up. I have atheists, rather, come up against me, Muslims, whatever. They don't shake me. What does shake me is that God gives us choice, and yet at the same time, He's sovereign. If you think you can explain that dichotomy of those two things in a nice, neat little package, God's going to shake you out of your tree real quick. People have the freedom of will to do things that are not godly. What do you do with verses? Rejoice. And again, I say rejoice. Consider it pure joy, my brethren, when you're tested, when you're going through trials. Really? Can I level with my viewers? I don't find it joyful when I'm getting pressed in the grape wine press. Do you? Do you find that fun? It's kind of like the sadist dance. It was a takeoff of the safety dance. KZIO. No, what was it? I forgot the name of the call letters. The one in Phoenix was a rock station before I was saved. They had a song, it was a takeoff of the safety dance called the Sadist Dance, and starts off, hey, what is my head doing in this voice? S-A-D-I-S-T, Sadist Dance. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was funny. Does it seem like God is a sadist sometimes? Now, those of you that are pious, programmed in Pious University, PU, Pious U, and get that pat answer Christianity going on. And we got a lot of that in America, don't we? No, he's not a sadist. God is good. God is good all the time. All the time God is good, right? Nice, neat little box. Till God takes your firstborn, your precious little baby girl that you love so much, and God says, your husband loses that cushy job that he made way more than he deserved, and he bought you gifts that you certainly, as a narcissistic, self-centered American woman, did not deserve. And now, all of a sudden, I'm sorry. The older I get, a little bit of cynicism mixes in the recipe because, wine is aged. I'm being aged. Some of my views are changing on things. Some views are fermenting. Some spices are being added. Experience is teaching me that you had all the answers in your 20s, didn't you, Pacific? But now, do you have them all now? No. But Pious University teaches us, but Jesus is the answer. Yes, he is. But does that always help you or me? Absolutely not. Because there's so many things that come into play. Number one, until we get past the mental block in our mind, the hardness of the heart, the lack of understanding, there's going to be a friction point between us and God. We're going to go, wait a minute, God, you're holding out on us. This is not cool. The way I see people act in American culture, especially the ones that got the nice cars, got the nice houses, they're the ones cutting everybody off and flipping everybody off, and blowing stop signs and think that's cool. And you honk and call them on it, and you get one of these. Honestly, wouldn't bother me a bit if a crisis hit America and hit every one of those kind of people right in the pocketbook. Bam! Goodbye SUV, goodbye house, foreclosure, and in your little lollipop life that does nothing for you, that you spend all this money on, says, the green well's dried up. I'm out of here too. See ya. I think it's necessary to see what people are standing on, what kind of foundation is holding them up. And I think that most people in our Western culture, there's not much of a foundation. We're only 300 years old as a country, give or take. Somebody said the other day, we don't have a culture. And I always say there is a culture. Everything has culture. I am a culture. I'm not being arrogant, but I have Pacific culture. There's African American culture. There's Native American culture. There's Mexican, Hispanic, Latino, and all the different ethnic cultures. And then we have a music culture and a media culture and a spiritual culture. And that spiritual culture, not easily defined. We have New Agers and Buddhists and Taoists and Shintoists and Unitarians and Presbyterians and Lutherans and Baptists and Methodists and Mennonites and Amish and Hutterites and Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, Christian Science, Catholics, Muslims, Tibetan monks, all right here in America. Who's right? None of them. God's Word is where we go. And it's easy for us in Pious University to come out as a graduate holding our little I Got Jesus diploma And we come out and we know all the answers, right? Well, God says, count it all joy. Let's stop and let's rewind that one more. Jesus said, let's count it all joy. Wait a minute. Who's saying that? 9 times out of 10, when I hear people throw that, rejoice in the Lord always, and again I say rejoice, look at their lifestyle. Look at it. Nice house. She's hot looking. She's got the husband. Pull her house away. Let her get breast cancer. Let her lose her daughter. Let her SUV get schmucked. And watch what happens. Most people that are in Christ that go to church have not been through the fire. Not in this country. And when they do go through the fire, they're going to be shook hard. Because the first thing that Americans don't realize is that at least 75% of the population of the globe does not live as good as we do. That right there sets us in a whole different social category, financial category. Most Americans have become smug, comfortable. They got their job, they got their money, they got their car, they got their life. And then they add that little layer of Jesus frosting on that big cake. You go, yep, God has blessed me. And you know why they say God bless them? Because we tithe. Have you heard that one? Have you heard Christians say that? Can't outgive God. I have people on my YouTube channel that are Walmart readers, that work at Lowe's, that do what most people call menial jobs. No benefits. Reduced to part-time because of wonderful Obamacare. The big underbelly of America of hardworking people, they're not the ones buying the houses and the SUVs. They're the ones taking the bus, driving the old beater to work. And then, on the other side of the spectrum, you got all these women out there that go, did you see the car he drives? Oh my gosh, he rides the bus. Our culture has given birth to a level of vanity and immaturity that the rest of the world has not known at all. As a rule, there are exceptions. Our culture has given rise to a vanity and immaturity that most of the rest of the world has never known. If I was filthy rich and I lived in the Philippines and didn't own a car, do you think it would stop any number of pretty brown-skinned, black, silky, Asian-haired women from wanting to get involved with me? Heck, no. Here it would. What if I was a millionaire and said, I'm tossing my car, my truck? I've also learned something else, and we've already talked about it, so we're not going to beat a dead horse. But it is a fact. I don't care where I go in public, where I go in the workplace, in the church house, even where I go, and I love my church. Women with their breasts pushed up, in their 40s, not married, they don't smile and say hi to me at all in the greeting time. Now, many men would say, well, because they think you want to get down their pants. Really? Does every pretty woman think that I want to get down every one of those women's pants? I've actually matured. No, I don't. I don't want to make love with an iceberg. I don't want to make love with a woman who thinks she's better than me. I actually mean that. And I did say to my friend the other day something that will shock every Christian woman tuning in. I go, oh my gosh, Pacific, that's horrible. But it's true. I'm starting to adopt the attitude of my friend Tom from Chisholm, Minnesota, that when I was in my early 20s, he says to me, Women are for effing, Pacific. That's it. I said, don't you think that's harsh? He says, no. How did he get there when he was my age? And how come it's taken me now, almost 50 years old, I'm starting to go, pretty much that's where it's at, isn't it? Because all I see when I deal with American women is an emotional mess. Very easy to light the fuse of an American woman. Very easy. I don't think men are superior to women. I don't think that. For any of you women tuning in, you might go, oh my gosh. That's another thing. I don't know one American woman who doesn't throw that out on the radio. Oh my God. Who is your God, lady? Who is your God? Could you tell us? Is it yourself? Is it your cell phone? Is it your SUV? Is it your dog? Is it your latte? Tell me. Because I spend 10 minutes with you, I'll find out who your God is real quick. I have come to the honest conclusion that all good-looking women in America, what I call good-looking, the kind that could be on the front of a magazine. I mean, sexy, nice frame, nice figure, nice face hair. No good for relationship. They know they're good-looking. They grew up with the princess mentality, the Disney princess mentality. Their daddies do it to them. Our society does it to them. Our churches do it to them. The American church does not confront nor step on the toes of most women in the congregation, and I'll tell you why. Especially if they're hot looking. They won't do it. If you offend the women in your church and the women leave, you got a problem. Because women in this culture exert a lot of force and influence. But I argue back and say, if you are called by God, you should be declaring the whole counsel of God, and not just the whole counsel of God, but you as a pastor, as a shepherd, should know your sheep enough to say, I'm watching this clique of girls over here to think their stuff don't stink, and you better start preparing sermons to deal with that. Because if you don't, you're shirking your duties. Quit blasting the men for their lust and start blasting the women for what's contributed to a lot, to the lion's share of why men have got to the point now where they're very comfortable saying, you know what? I can't get a woman. They're not going to go after me anyway. Most of them are seeing that. 2, you get saved and go to church, and we're supposed to be redeemed, right? In the world, but not of it. Do we find that women, when they get saved, that they just suddenly have an aha, I could have had a V8 moment, change? Most of the time, no. And on the other side of that chasm, you have plenty of obese women that are lazy in their houses, lazy in their car, meaning not clean. They're not disciplined with their body, and we're supposed to love them the way Jesus loved them. What does that look like? Well, Jesus ain't going to have sex with you, and neither am I. That's what that looks like. So if you want me to be like Christ, I will be like Christ. I'm not going to have sex with you, and I'm not going to fall in love with you that way. And Jesus ain't going to fall in love with you that way. So you're right. I need to have the heart Jesus has. And I say that because most of these women that don't take care of themselves and don't discipline themselves, men need to learn to look at the heart. You need to look at the heart too. But you also need to look at the packaging. Now, I want to be careful what I say because we're going to dissect something. I look at the hot-looking woman. The package is beautiful. But it's like going to the fair or the carnival. Cotton candy! Oh, that spun cotton candy looks so good. But have you ever bit into that stuff? Nothing there. Sweet, dissolves in your mouth. No nutritional value, no nutrients, no life-sustaining anything. Pacific has come is come to the conclusion that these hot-looking women are like eating cotton candy. You're not going to gain anything in the long run. And those women will turn around upon hearing this and say, oh, he's just sore because we don't want him. No. I've watched who they choose. I've sat back and watched the men they choose. They choose the ones with money. They choose the ones that are going to spoil and pamper them. American women are not raised with a servant's heart or servant's mindset. Philippine women are. Philippine women are raised with the idea of serving their parents, their man. They go over to Hong Kong and overseas to be a domestic helper. It's not about them at all. In America, women are demanding everybody serve them while they give absolutely nothing in return. I'm talking about the hotties. So my question to God is, you allow free will. Why did you allow these women with these hot looks to be endowed with good looks and then get and they keep acting like that and they think they're godly? Snubbing men, ignoring us, pushing their breasts up as high as they can. And somebody told me the other day, a woman said it to me. If you're a hot-looking woman, you've got it made in this culture. You don't have to lift a finger. I agree. You don't have to have college. You don't have to have money. You just got to find a guy that's got the money, that's interested in you. He'll put you wherever he wants to put you. I've also learned something else, viewers. I must say this again. Women need to stop pursuing them. Stop. If a woman is interested in you, you won't have to do a darn thing. She will be in your radar all the time, getting your attention. She will force you to come after her. I really have finally learned that. A viewer texted me the other day and said, women want men to make the first move. That's malarkey. They say that, but it's not true. And I'll tell you why. I listen to the hot women talk, and they all say the same thing. I was told by dispatch to run my midday bus route yesterday so that the driver, that the midday, I'm covering it for somebody because nobody bid on that other route, that bus that midday goes to. And this woman's long black hair, she's a hottie. You know, the one that got me the job 2 years ago at a private school driving the bus for the summer. And then when she's back on our main workplace playground, when she's with all her Hispanic Latina friends, she doesn't talk to me, doesn't look at me. And the dispatcher says she's going to ride with you. And I said, does she have to? Yeah, she has to learn the route. I said, okay. Then she adds, and when you're done with the route, go ahead and let her drive your bus, and you're going to help her learn the 2 a.m. routes. She's going to do a practice run. Oh, goody. I get to spend 3+ hours with this woman. This is going to be fun. And everything wanted to say, how come? But I just kept it focused on work until the conversation went on. I said, so are you dating a black guy? Oh, no, I'm dating a Mexican guy. I met him at my church. Rumors have been spread all around that she was a transvestite. It was really a guy that became a woman. She actually brought that up, but I had heard that. And I know that she's a woman. The other rumors that I had actually heard is that she was lesbian or bi. She goes, that's so not true. She goes, I'm dating a very godly man. And then she asked, did you see the car I showed up with? I said, oh, that fancy, very expensive car. She goes, yeah. I said, That's his, right? Godly man. What made her interested in him? The car, his income. She's not spiritually mature. Not when you can go to church and be nice to me and the Asian girl I was dating several years ago and then come back to work and totally ignore me, your brother. And why does she do that? And you know what's funny? She's Mexican herself. Born and raised in Denver. She says to me, oh, I won't date a Mexican. I'll only date a Latino. And I'm talking one from South America. And then she adds, because I can get what I want. Because I'm on the clock, I have to be professional. But inside I'm going, oh, gag me with a freaking spoon, Valley Girl. She's not even from California. The reason she dates him is because he's from LA. And he's Mexican. And he's different. No, he's not different. He has money and a very $100,000 car. That's why. And he lets you drive it. That's insane. I would never let a girl I start dating drive a $100,000 car if I had one. Are you out of your mind? I wouldn't drive a $100,000 car. That I wouldn't do. What does a man get when he marries a hottie? One good night of sex? Maybe? Does he get a deep relationship that goes beyond the materialistic realm? Or does he get a hottie that curls up on the couch, kicks your shoes off with her coffee, and, oh, look at the dog, isn't it cute? I mean, what are you getting? My question is this. You gave us choice, and yet you're sovereign. And there's so much of this mentality proliferating, God, right in Christendom. And it appears that you're not doing anything to stop it. In fact, I found myself getting angry with regard to my ex again. I have been nice over and over and over. My ex is truly into herself. Very self-centered. I had to call her this week. She doesn't say hello. Yeah. I want to say, could you say hello? Hey, how are you? Nope. She's not going to show any warmth. I've done nothing to her. I've been nice. She hates me. And deep down inside, she hates my son. She sat there and said, well, if you say, love me, son, that shows up in action. Yeah, that's right, Mom. Calling your son an a-hole and an effer and an shit, that's not love. Oh, but I'm human. Oh, okay, that's your default mode. Gotcha. I never called him that. Ever. Why does God allow his own children? You know, there's a lot of teaching I got when I first got saved. Oh, God's going to get them. No, he doesn't. Yeah, I have not seen it happen with many people. I struggle with something else, viewers. It says pray without ceasing. And I agree with that, but I'm not going to pray for the same thing over and over. I've prayed for my mother and father to get saved. They have no interest in the truth. They join the Catholic Church and are doing all these good works thinking that's going to even out the scale, but yet they don't believe they're sinners. She doesn't anyway. And I find myself saying, God, I'm sorry. I'm not going to beg you for 40-something years of my life. I'm not going to do it. You're either going to save them or you're not going to save them. They're either going to yield to your call or not going to yield to your call. No, I do not believe in predestination. I wanted to clarify that. Does God work against somebody's will? The answer is no. Remember in Revelation 3, when he's talking to the church of Philadelphia, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Jesus Christ doesn't kick the door open. Hey, we're the SWAT team. Get saved. Let's go. If any man hear my voice and open the door, The man has to open the door, not Jesus. He just goes. But is our culture listening? Very, very few. It says in the Bible, those whom I love I discipline. Really? I have yet to see discipline befall my ex. I have yet to see discipline befall this princess mentality that I work with, who runs the sound system at her church and talks about Jesus, and she's awful, stuck up, arrogant, conceited, not attractive. Her body is not a 10, not even close. Guys don't want her. Guys aren't hitting on her. Guys, there's not one guy in there that's ever said, oh, she's hot, ever. And she's being picky. I want a godly man, when she's not even godly herself. My evaluation comes up this week. So far, I've gotten 105%. That's the highest you can get. If our work ethic doesn't show Jesus, then shut up. Don't talk about the Lord when your coworkers are complaining about you, going and hearing you on the radio making a scene like a little girl, a little brat. Does this mean I'm going to be late again? I can't be late. I have to be off at 5. What are you going to do when it snows? Or when I-25 is backed up with an accident and you're stuck and no exit in sight? I'd like my life in a neat little box. In fact, since we're playing princess, I'll be a prince. I want a girl with brown skin. I want a girl with hair down to her butt, silky Asian black, medium to small size breasts. So when she lifts her arm, it's clean and smooth, and there's no cellulite here, and it's firm like mine. Yeah, and a flat stomach. I want a woman who massages me, who cooks me dinner, who loves me, who doesn't get in my face, who doesn't blame everybody when she does something wrong, but says, you know what, I was out of line, I'm sorry. What do I want? I want people to obey traffic laws and show respect out there. I love to drive. What do I want? I want to go to church where everybody, including the 10 looking women. Pacific, it's good to see you. How's things going? Can I pray for you? What? Can you imagine what the church would look like if it was like that? But no, we're a YouTube culture, right? You know, we got women on here judging me for looking at pictures, doing this, doing that, and a host of assorted trolls, which have died down considerably, thank you, God. I think most of them either got kicked out of their mom's basement and were told to get off the internet and go get a job or go back to school, which tells me that most of these internet trolls that were giving me all the harassment this summer, it's been awfully quiet on the Western Front. Why? Because several of my fans and I noticed that and said, how much do you want to bet? It's August, September, and they start disappearing. They're either teenagers who went back to school, or college students, or boys that weren't growing up living with mommy, and mommy said, you're not going to sit in the internet, in the basement on the internet all day. Go get a job. The people that are trolling on the internet are really useless. And they do that because they have too much time on their hands. One left and said, you better not mention me again or you better watch your back. That was chaos. I will mention him again. Why? Because I'm not scared. Do you know why? Because I've been through all this. When we talk about stuff, we've been taught a lot of wrong stuff, especially when I got saved in the 80s. You know, we read Psalm 91. He will not let your foot hit a stone. He'll cover you with his feathers, you know, the analogy of a big bird. You know, the little ones under the safety of the wings of mom. No, actually, that's not true. There's times I feel like I am standing out there buck naked on the end of a cliff with all the people behind me with their spears, and God's up there on his throne somewhere, and I'm like, great! God's covering me with his feathers, right? I'm about to be stabbed and pushed off of this cliff. Okay. Wait a minute, but it says I'll never leave you nor forsake you. I know, but that's an easy one too. Well, yeah, the Holy Spirit's in me. He's not going to leave. But do you notice what we do? We use those verses to say, that automatically means protection. Super shield goes up, and all those people with the spear at the end of the cliff suddenly fall backwards, and I walk right through their midst and walk out. Right? Wrong. There's going to come a time in every one of our lives where God's going to let the worst thing happen to you, because God says, all that desire to live godly in Christ Jesus shall suffer persecution. Isn't that fun? Isn't that awesome to look forward to? There are times I think God is a sadist. It's like, yep, you like suffering. You like playing guinea pig. Poke. Here, eat that. Let's try this. Let's see if this causes brain cancer. Here, let's poke the guinea pig again. Poke, 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 poke. Wee, wee, wee. Does it not feel like that as a Christian? You have a great day, right? You have a great day at work. You're actually thinking about God, and then you get home and all hell breaks loose. Oh, yes, Proverbs covers that. Man is born to trouble if sparks fly upward, as said Ecclesiastes. It sucks some days. What is it supposed to look like? Do we get what we want? No, I don't. Looking at used trucks on Craigslist, I can't believe how high the prices are on these pieces of junk. I'm going to say something. I have a lot of questions. Why does God let a certain bunch of Christians, middle class, comfortable, especially white Christians, have the good life? Nothing seems to happen. They just get more money. You live in their vain plastic house. Oh, yes, but they host Bible studies, stuff like that. But they're not real. They're not genuine. Why does God let them continue to do well? Is it because they tithe? Is that really true? I tithe. There's a myth that goes out there. When you're middle class and you got all these blessings, oh yeah, God's got a seal on you. When you're driving a school bus or your Walmart greeter, there must be something wrong with you. And there's one wise thing that Beth said in Hong Kong. If all were the professional, where would the farmer be? Where would the grower be? Where would the truck driver be that brings the stuff to the store? What about the person in the store putting all that stuff away? That 20-year-old boy who's putting all the cans of tuna and the beans and the rice. We don't think about that, do we? No, we don't. Often what we think is, guy shoots you, look, he's an arrogant pothead punk. Everybody plays a part in keeping this society going, and it ain't driven by the professionals. If anything, they're the ones wrecking it. And I agree with what somebody sent me. The ones with the suit and ties are the ones that are the biggest criminals, not the one with tattoos. That is true. Go look in your prisons. But even then, if you have enough money, you can get away with it. Somebody's on lunch now at 4:26 p.m. Holy cow, she's got a long day. Viewers, God is not a nice, neat little box, and he doesn't want us to think that way of him. Do you notice people in American society? Yep, got my loan established, got my car, and everything's airtight in my nice, neat little box. They only talk professional. They always got that drawbridge in the straight up position. And they think they're being professional by doing it. Well, I don't let bad people in. I'm careful. I'm cautious. What a great way to live your life. Isn't it fun? Walled off village. Nobody's allowed in except who you let in. You know, God allows people to come busting right through my drawbridge sometimes and says, hey, this is not a castle with a moat around it. And it's true. You don't let all the people walk across your drawbridge. We have to learn that too. Those that are professionals and think they've never sinned, look at somebody like me and go, yeah. But did they go to Hong Kong? Did they drive a school bus? Did they experience the variety of youth out there? The good ones, the bad ones, the funny ones? How about this? Hold on. Let me show you something. How many professionals get to experience this? One of my junior high Vietnamese students on a bus and said she made that for me. She's got some difficulties in life. Cupcake. You know, she actually lights up to see me every day. And she says the same thing every day. Can we go to the store? Nope, I have to take you home. Why? Because that's my job. Yeah, but I want a hot dog and I want a Coke and I want onion rings. You like hot dog? Yeah. I try to get away from people and God won't let me do it. I try to shut my channel down and God won't let me do it. The truth be told, if Pacific were to put his life in a nice, neat little box because of the mistakes I've made in life, I'd really like to go hide somewhere and literally pull that power panel switch to the off position and shut off everything I know about my culture here and never visit it again. No, God doesn't let me do that. I would run to Asia. I would embrace Asian culture. I'd learn their language, so much so that if an American showed up, I'd look at him like he was a foreigner. Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, huh? What? You know, no speaking English. Yes, there's a part of me that would love to do that. Does God give us the desires of our heart? No. Stop misusing the verse. That's a question I have for God. What do you mean by that? God will give you the desires of your heart. Creflo Dollar thinks it's a Learjet. Joyce Myers thinks it's a 32,000 square foot home, and her husband thinks it's a $130,000 Mercedes. Why does God let a Benny Hinn run up and slay people in the spirit and knock them down on stage? Why? And why does he let those people prosper and prosper? But let's bring it right down to here. Why does he allow an American woman claiming to be Christian, claiming to be godly, claiming to be a victim, ruin my son? My son said yesterday, because I had a word with him after everybody left the room. I said, do you have anger issues with me? Because now you want to go to counseling again. No. I said, where's all this anger? He says, well, I've got better control of my anger. And I said, is any of this with your mother? He says, well, yeah, some of that. I said, is there any with me? No. And he says, you and I are getting along fine. They talked about something called EDM. And I'm like, what's EDM? Social services. And it's some sort of a technique that they use that said that when you go through trauma that you lock it inside of your body. And this EDM brings it out. And I'm sorry to be cynical, but that just sounds demonic. What we've done is now we've got these professionals, pseudo-professionals, and I'm going to call them pseudo. They're going to get out there and they're going to find some technique to apply to say, There's got to be a reason why the kid is acting this way, and it's trauma. We're going to find it, even if they manufacture it. If you want to read a book, read it. Why Christians Can't Trust Psychology by Ed Bulkley. He talks about that stuff. I sat under him. He has a church in Westminster. The book is good, and I should get it. I didn't read it in its entirety, but basically he said that psychologists manufacture stuff, so you keep coming to them, keep paying them. And then you finally get people to believe, well, I must have went through a trauma that I never knew anything about. Mommy locked my teddy bear in the closet for a day, and I'm 50 years old, and I realized that that had just destroyed me. I'm serious. This is real stuff today. Pacific is going to blow that right out of the water and say that's a bunch of malarkey. When I think of trauma, I think of child abuse, beating children, raping, sexual molestation, harsh verbal abuse, which my ex has definitely done that to him. When I think of trauma, I think of me surviving a plane crash, but in the process of survivor, watching every seat in front of me, people's heads flying off, members dismembered, and bodies flying everywhere, and I lived through all that. That is going to create some doggone trauma. Or if I survive a shipwreck and hear the screams of thousands in the water that have no lifeboat, and I've got to sail away because I don't want them to tip it over because we're full, that's going to cause some trauma. Somebody beating me up in an alley would cause trauma. Unprovoked, minding your own business, and you get whacked over the head with a tire iron, and boom. All this counseling, all this psychology is netting absolutely nothing. That it boils down, and I said to my son, you have to change in here. Counseling should only be a tool to help you get out whatever's inside of you, but let's not manufacture stuff here. I believe I have the ability to do that. But unfortunately, when it's court-ordered, I'm not a recognized counselor. I know what's causing this stuff. My question to God is, why do you throw out these verses that just are so confusing? You say you care for us, but yet you put us in a furnace of affliction. Look at Joseph. Joseph is Exhibit A. Now, he's a kid. He has a dream, and he runs out to his brothers and his dad and says, hey, guess what? I had a dream that there was all these stalks of corn or wheat, and I'm standing, and all your sheaves bowed to me. Oh, brother, that was dumb. Now you just set your brothers to being very upset. Oh, really? You're going to rule over us? You know what's true is that he did end up ruling over them. Second in command to Pharaoh. Why did God give him that dream? So that he could boast. But here's the irony of it. He gets thrown in the well. Oh, wait a minute. Here comes a caravan. Let's sell him. First, they were going to kill him. Reuben said, no. But then lied, took his multicolored coat, dipped it in blood, and here, Dad, look what happened. Nice job, boys. You all conspired and made your dad just about have a heart attack. That's nice. And they played that lie for how many years? And when all those years are going by, Joseph's in Potiphar's house. He's being honorable. And Potiphar's wife is probably drop dead gorgeous. I can guarantee you she ain't no ghetto chick. Lie with me. Comes up to him, I got to be honest with you. If we were honest with ourselves, most of us wouldn't resist those kind of advances, would we? Do you know why? Because women like that don't come on to us, so if somebody did, I'd be like, oh, come on, baby. Oh, but she's married. Would it matter? The frog in the kettle is us. But Joseph said, "No, how can I do this? He's put me in charge. I cannot do this and sin against my master." What did I say? When a woman doesn't get what she wants, watch out. You're resisting my advances, you fool. Then she grabs his outer coat when he comes. "Lie with me." No. And he flees, which he was wise to do. Ha! I got his jacket. "Oh, honey, guess what? While you were gone, Joseph came in here and tried to get on my bed, and he left this behind." Now, you got to wonder about Potiphar. Did he really believe her? Did he know his wife? Apparently he didn't. Or did he know her and think, "I don't want to cross her"? You know, I don't care what people says. Most men in America have been pussified by their women. Fact, they will not stand up to them. Yet, with all this free will going on, you can clearly see that God had a plan for all of this. Potiphar says, "Guess what? You scoundrel. Jail." He's not in jail long, and the chief jailer says, "What's this guy in here for? Hey, you be in charge of the prisoners. Promoted in jail. Now, is that awesome or what?" And then it just so happens that a baker and a wine taster comes in. Thrown in there, Pharaoh's got PMS and says, "Go back." And they're troubled, and they have a dream, and Joseph knows his prisoners, says, "Hey, what's troubling you?" "And we have this dream, and we don't know what it means." "Tell me, I'll interpret it for you." And then he says, "When you're restored, wine taster, the baker, you're going to die. You're going to have your head chopped off. Remember me, Kay?" Now, you would think that wine taster would be like, "Oh, yes, he told me good news." He runs back, he's restored, and doesn't say a dang word. But that was his choice, right? You know what I would have done? Bastard. He forgot me, really, after I did that and saved his... That's what I would do, not knowing the overarching sovereignty of God's plan. So then Pharaoh, all this worked along. Timing, timing, timing. You know, when you have your engine timed, you hold that little timing light down. Guess what? Guess what? God was orchestrating all of this. Yeah, I told you that dream, so you'd boast, so your brothers get mad. You get thrown in the well, and they change their mind. Here comes a caravan, sell them. They moved you right along. They didn't know it. Their plan was for evil, but mine was for good. I have to tell myself that. Because I fret inside, wow, this is part of your plan, God? Really? Pharaoh is troubled. His own interpreters can't tell him a hill of beans. And the wine taster's like, "Hey, what's going on, King Pharaoh?" Oh my gosh. Pharaoh, I forgot. When I was in jail with a baker dude, there was this guy in there, and he told me the interpretation of the dream we had, and everything he said about the baker was true, and everything. You need to talk to him. Get him at once. Joseph interprets the dream. Joseph says, you need to find a man who will start storing grain now while you have good years, because its famine's going to be bad. And Pharaoh says, I can't think of anybody that should do that except you. You'll be second in command to me. A Hebrew. 400 years later, things really changed. But God had a plan for that too. He wanted to drive his people out. And the only way he can do it, and I've seen it in my life, when we get comfortable and we're just like, oh, I like it down here. I'm sitting in the jacuzzi, baby. You sink right down in that hot water and feel those jets pulsating on your back, and you're going, God sends a couple grizzly bears to come cruising around the, oh boy, yep, I want you out. God does that. Why did he allow a bunch of youths to come up and say to Elisha, "Go on up, you bald head"? And Elisha turns around and calls down a curse, and 2 she-bears come out of the woods and make snack meat out of 42 teenagers. That's awesome. I wish that would happen today. I guarantee you it'd make these kids think twice about smart-offing people, huh? But dispensationalism is sometimes a cruel thing. Why did God do something then, but he doesn't do something now? I know many people wish that big earthquake would hit out San Francisco like in 1906 and split that city in half and burn up all the gay people. I know people think that way. I don't. Because if we're going to start thinking like that, then he better burn us up for our sins too, right? You know what's funny is how limited we are in our perspective. When that driver cuts us off, we get peeved. God, get him. But what about the one time we're not paying attention? We forgot to put the turn signal on and they honk. Oh, geez, I forgot to use my turn signal. Calm down. Oh, it's different now. How about 2 football teams? Let's say Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos. Christian man lives in Wisconsin, and Christian man lives in Denver. Christian man in Denver says, "Oh, God, I pray that the Broncos beat the Packers." And the guy in Wisconsin says, "Oh, God, I pray that the Packers beat the Broncos." Who's going to win? Does it mean that God's for this team or that team? Oh, if you listen to Americans, gosh, we got Christian athletes now. I mean, when we lost Tim Tebow, all the Christians were in an uproar about that, saying, "Wow, he was God's man." And then they started thinking he was persecuted. Okay, come on now. Is God on a football team? No. Sometimes the only ball team I'm on is the one between my legs. Thank you very much. Sorry, a little strange humor there. So there's a story about this big dude that died in San Francisco. He was big, so they had to make a special supersized coffin. Well, when they went to put it in the hearse, the tailgates on those hearse usually swing out. They don't bend down or flatten down like the pickup truck tailgates. When they push the coffin in there, they put these secure pins down at the back to hold that coffin and keep it from moving. Guy forgot to do that, gets in the car, takes off, tailgate shut, he goes up this steep hill in San Francisco. Coffin shifts, it's so heavy, it busts the tailgate flies open, coffin hits the street and goes sliding down San Francisco Street. And it starts gaining speed. Gets all the way to the bottom where there's a pharmacy at that T intersection. Busts through the plate glass window, slides between the aisles of medicines and different elixirs and whatever, hits the pharmacist's desk. The lid on the coffin flips up. The stiff in the coffin flies up and says, "Pardon me, do you have anything to stop this coffin?" Let that sink in for a minute, okay? Somebody told me that. I thought it was funny. Why does God allow things? Do you think Job knew what was going on? Do you think God came and says, "Job, I just want to have a session with you. We're going to take everything away. We're going to take away your daughters, everything. We're going to do all this because I want to show Satan that he's an idiot and that, you know." God didn't tell Job a thing. And for 38 chapters of Job, or 37, there's Bildad the Shuhite, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Zophar or whatever, and they're all just rattling on. Well, you know, maybe you sinned. This wouldn't have happened unless you sinned. And God finally shows up and says, "All right, Job, where were you when I made the Pleiades and Orion? And where were you when I made the heavens and drew the boundaries? The sun goes into its pavilion. Where were you?" Doesn't it seem cruel that God didn't just say, "Job, I know this sucks, but here's why this happened"? No, he doesn't tell him. We know. We who read the book know Job never got that satisfaction. That book was written after he was gone. Why does God do that? Because he's God. Is God always fair? Not by our definition, he isn't. I mean, after all, he did let Hitler successfully kill 6 million Jews and rampage the stuff out of Europe, and Yamamoto did what he did. Was that fair? Was that God's judgment? I don't know. You know what a pontificator is? Most Americans. You know, we got news now. When I was a kid, news came on at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Dun, 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 dun. NBC Nightly News. With Tom Brokaw. By the way, that music, the NBC Nightly News theme, the mission theme, that was done by John Williams. You gotta get it. If you're into classical music, love that piece. News is 24 hours a day now. And do you notice what they're doing with it? Most of it is just crap. It's cotton candy. Well, yeah, John, I think that if he wins, that this is probably what he's going to do, and this is what's going to happen. Well, no, I disagree with that. And then we got the pontificators on each side. They're getting $300,000 a year to sit there and pontificate and take up all your precious time where you're sitting. Well, yeah, John Stossel said this and Barbara Walters. Who cares? We have an earthquake. What do you think the city of Los Angeles is going to do that now the downtown's all been destroyed? So now we're going to play God and try to interpret the minds of the people in a big tragedy and figure out what they're going to do. That's not news. Crazy. Why does God allow all this stuff? Why? Why does God allow so many people to prosper, and they're the biggest jerks? They're the most unthankful. Why does he allow all these women to have hot looks and then rub it in our face, us men? You're not worthy of me. Can I say something? The best judgment that could happen to them is something to mar their beauty. Oh, Pacific, I can't believe you said that. Have you heard what those good-looking women say behind closed doors? Have you watched the way they cut me off in a crosswalk, 2 inches, with the dog on their lap? Don't hurt my dog, but I don't care about you. Don't even judge me. Those hot-looking women are not kind-hearted. They're not humble. They're not sweet. They're not godly. 99.9% of those hot-looking women are complete, narcissistic, self-centered biatches. 99.9%. Stuck up. Think they know all the answers. Experts at diagnosing all of us men, even though most of them don't have a degree in psychology. Most of them are not counselors. This is what happens when you let women take the reins and take control. And yes, give them cars. And yes, fill them with notions about being fiercely independent. It is my belief, and I'm starting to say this now, and I want to be careful, women need to be controlled because they're not controlling themselves. Oh, did you hear what the Civic said? Well, men need to be controlled too. We're supposed to be controlled by God. For women having all this freedom to run and do and say whatever they want and get into debt and be materialistic, women need to go home and raise their children and make the food and do all that so that men can earn a livable wage, and they need to get out of the workplace. Really. We don't need more counselors and psychologists because you guys are screwing up everything with your so-called psychobabble. It's either God's word or it's nothing. Focus on the Family founder, James Dobson, has contributed to a lot of misinformation by combining psychology with Bible. It doesn't work. I base a lot of things on experience, just standing back and watching. Being in the position that I'm in. To you, oh, you're just a bus driver. Yeah, I'm just a bus driver. But I'm a people watcher, and I'm an observer, and I've been with kids enough to say this is pretty much what you can expect. And this is the best way to deal with these things. And that's not psychology. That's called observing. It's also called trial and error. God knows how many times I've tried approaches that didn't work at all. I'm going to share something with you because it's embarrassing. I was in Duluth and I had an SVC route, and I had a bunch of very rude high school students. They were all bigger than me. They chewed their tobacco, spit on the floor, took their pocket knives, cut up the back of the seats. I had a very nice bus. And I was so tired of that. And I hated those SVC routes. It was extra time, but they stressed me out. And everybody that drove them had problems. I'd put up these nice pictures of scenery around America and around the world. Most people said, wow, those are cool. And I heard this one dork in the back say, oh, look at all the cute little pictures of scenery. Oh, how gay. And they were standing up, and I said, hey, why don't you guys move up front? Well, what do you have for? Because I asked you to. I said, you're not sitting down. You're being rude. And you know what I said? They didn't. And I stopped the bus. I got up and I said, you know what? I yelled and I lost control. I was an emotional driven person then. You know what? I have suicidal tendencies. Get up here now. I don't have time for this. That scared them. But I really made myself look bad. Complaint went right back to dispatch. Dispatch called me and said, did you say you have suicidal tendencies? I said, yeah, I did it just to shock them. Don't do that, please. We know you don't have suicidal tendencies, but you don't need to tell students that. Those SVC kids are a bunch of retards, and you know that, and they're just being jerks, and you say that, and you just put a target on your back. Got them to comply. I would never say that now. Total opposite, 180 degrees. Guys, I need you to sit down, please. Or I'll just stop. Hey, why are we stopped? Bus driver, why are we stopped? Well, you guys are standing up. I can't move. Colorado state law says you have to be. Oh, sorry. I don't need to yell. I don't need to manage from insecurity. You know, all this bullying that goes on? Bullies are insecure a-holes. That's why they do that. They threaten, they intimidate, they make grand pronouncements and say this, and most of what they say is a bunch of bull squat. Just grandstanding, blowhardism. The internet is full of it. Then there's others that take it to the next level and really cause harm or damage. But most of the bullying is because those people are insecure as hell. I have a lot of questions for God. Why does God let most of the beautiful women act so rude, so stuck up? Even in church on Sunday morning when the pastor's talking about coming together as the body of Christ and community, and during the greeting time, I look at those women and they turn away and ignore me. Did you not hear what the man said? I'm not looking at them because, oh, please, will you go out with me? That's not it. But I want to start singing that old stupid song and change the words. I didn't like it. Jesus Christ Superstar. Who do you think you are? The kids changed that in school. Lady, who do you think you are? You got a pair of boobs, so you're better than everybody, and you're showing your boobs. So that gives you a degree above me? Yes, it does. The older I get, the more I'm starting to see women are rebellious as hell. They're rude. They're awful. And I don't want to get married. No, I don't. I don't want a wife. I don't want a wife. A girlfriend, yeah. I've been seeing a couple gals. I'm not ultimately committing to anybody right now. I don't want to. When I say seeing, not two-timing. I want what I want, and I'm not getting it. I don't want a white woman. I don't. I'm seeing a white woman right now. Ironically, she's making changes in big ways, and I'm just like, what the heck? Not going to tell my viewers. But these changes are good. She told me, I really want you. And my pundits will say, oh, she's doing that, and as soon as you sign on the dotted line, she'll go back. I'm not marrying her. Don't worry. Deep down in my heart, I know what I want, and I'm not getting it. What has to be asked is, what does God want? And we don't want to be Pius University grads of this. We don't always know what God wants. It's not our job to pontificate on the mind of Christ about every little thing. It's our job to walk, submit to Him, and just say, okay, Lord, you know my heart's in Asia, but you've put me right here. Ground zero, Armpit, America. Denver, Colorado. The last place on the world I want to be, outside of Tehran. Why does God do that? But He'll give you the desires of your heart. No, He doesn't. I like ships in the sea, and I have nothing to do with them. A school bus driver? Boy, that's really nautical. Maybe I ought to take the steering wheel out and put a ship's wheel. Go ahoy, kids! Welcome aboard! Let me straighten out an erroneous viewpoint. There are people in our culture, Christians, that are so shallow that all they want is that crackerboard house that they paid $500,000 for. You know, the one where you can hear the toilet flushing 3 rooms over. The house with the white carpet and the gaudy chandelier and the ceiling that's 20 feet high, and we have a great room, and we bought our new Xterra. Wow, good for you. Boring, shallow, next. And there's a guy like me who's deep. You know what God is teaching me, and I hate to admit this because it's humbling as heck, that a lot of the people I work with, I've been guilty of thinking I'm a little better than them. And God says, yep, and that's why you're there. Because you're not, and I love them just as much as I love you, and I sent my son for them. And it doesn't matter where they're at in life, doesn't matter if they're tattoos, doesn't matter if they're fat, doesn't matter if they're ghetto. I love them, and I sent my son to die for them. We don't get that, do we? Do we? It's easy to go to Asia and sit and be a rock star in a karaoke place. That's easy. How hard is it for me to walk the streets of Hong Kong and have little brown-skinned girls pawing at me? My day off on Thursday, can I be with you? Oh, I don't know. I got to really think about this. Got to get a committee here to think tank this. Sure, you can be with me. Oh, baby. God takes us right away from our desires and He pulls us right to where He wants us. Doesn't He? I believe that if all my viewers were honest, that most of you would say, I'm not where I want to be. I got a viewer in Missouri who's trying to find job after job. He's applied at every single dang place in town, and they all say no. And my viewers say, why did he leave? Because he doesn't have enough money to leave. He lives with his parents. How many of my viewers are offering a room in your place and saying, hey, you get a bus ticket, come out. I'll give you rent free till you can find a job. And how many? God is teaching me to help people more and be more generous. No, I'm not talking about the clowns on the street panhandling. I had a woman come up and ask me for $25 at work, and I had given her some money last year. She had written this letter to a bunch of us at work saying she had hard times, and I gave her a gift, not going to tell you how much. And she asked for $25 more to get her driver's license, and I just said nope. I had the money, but I didn't, because I'll give so much. It's like, let the other people in here do that too. The Bible's very clear. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. And we see all the stars out there. I am giving $1 million to this charity. Good, you got your reward, toots. That just invalidated any heavenly one. And if they're not in Christ, it's null and void anyway. People talk about Bill Gates and all the money he gives. So what? He's going to hell. And guess what? Somebody else is going to inherit his money anyway, and it ain't going to be Bill Gates. Ecclesiastes talks about that. When I die, all that I've earned, I'll have to give to another. Whether they appreciate it, whether they worked for it or not. That's why a preacher that I sat under once said that you should not inherit any money to your kids. Have you noticed something in America? The kids that get an inheritance are spoiled brats already, and then they get that just spend more on themselves? I'm starting to believe that your estate should go straight to the church, if the church is doing what it's supposed to be doing, or at least donate to a missions board or something, because when you're gone, at least your bank account can do some good, and you will get rewarded for that. It's not ours anyway. It belongs to God, right? Tell most middle-class Christians that. They're full of it. You can't outgive God. Oh, see, God's giving you all this money, and you're tithing your 10%. Oh, and I tithe 10% of the gross, not the net. Oh, boy, now we're legalistic, splitting hairs. It says in the Bible that each man, in keeping with his income, set aside a certain portion every week. Does that mean I have to give something every week? I get paid every 2 weeks. No. Every 2 weeks, I give something. It says in keeping with his income. What each man has purposed in his heart, for God loves a cheerful giver. The way I work the tithe is this way. I don't do this splitting hair 10% legalism, because that produces pride. I get a paycheck, and I look at the paycheck, and the first number that comes to my mind is what I stick with. $100. Okay. $200. Okay. $50. Okay. Because I give it to quibble. Oh, I don't want to give 50. Nope. My mind said 50, it's 50. It said 100. Offering's a whole different category. That's above and beyond your regular giving. Why does God let people go on believing that they're so right when they're so wrong? Why does God let America have such a big ego? Why does God let Americans do what they do? Why does God let the most comfortable people be the most annoying on the roads? Annoying in society? I don't know. I got a lot of questions for God. Why did God endow all these women with good looks if they're just going to be stuck up, conceited, and snub us all? Is that His will? How come all these women think they're freaking goddesses? I want to know the answer to that. How do they get it in their mind that me with my glasses is less than and they are greater than, in mathematics? What is that? Greater than? I can't even do it. Less than. I don't know. I know in the end God's going to hold everybody accountable. Not one girl that's got the hot looks going to walk up there and shake those tatas and go, "Hey, God, what's up?" When we are in heaven, girls are not going to have this mentality at all. Hold on. Hello? Hey, you want to go to dinner? Or you want to eat? Huh? All right. I'm finishing up something here, and I will call you when I leave here and head over, okay? All right. I will get back to you soon. All right, and bye. Got a date. So, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to do a shout out to my friend Anthony. I had a wonderful conversation with him as he's trying to work out the ins and outs of a relationship with a Chinese woman from Guangzhou. She's pretty. Her name is Joan, and I like her. Nice girl. She belongs to the Communist Party. Now, before anybody saying, oh, Pacific, I'm not a communist. I don't support the communists. Joan likes my channel. She doesn't leave comments. She watches. She agrees with a lot of what I say. And she feels comfortable enough with me meeting me over Skype and hearing me on this channel, my forum, that when her and Anthony were having a problem, some spats, that they wanted me to talk to them. Now, as a Christian, it'd be easy to say, well, you know, the Communist Party is not ordained by God. Neither is American democracy either. Do you think that God ordained American democracy to have the corporate elitists literally squashing us? Do you know what corporate people and corporate mentality is doing to this country? Is taking away individuality, is taking away uniqueness and spontaneity, and is stifling the hell out of us while charging us high rates and big boxing everything. Got to have those SUVs, got to have those Starbucks. We're narrowing it down to just a handful of the common denominator, stupid way of living. Do you know how stupid that is? You go back to America in the old days, even just in the 70s, and you went from one state to another, there were differences in those states, differences in towns. They had their own unique diners, unique stores. That is gone. You can go to Walmart anywhere. You can go to Starbucks anywhere, and they're all driving the same SUVs. Shoot, it wasn't too many years ago that one town finally was the last town to not have phone service, landline service before the cell phones. And they finally got phone lines put in down in Louisiana. Like, oh, that would have been awesome. We become a homogenized culture where everything's in syncretism. And for people like me, communism sucks. Democracy sucks. Socialism sucks. There's only one form of government that works. And that's yet to come. It's a theocracy, and it's the reign of Jesus Christ. I'm not going to pick apart all that's wrong with America, but I told Anthony, you've been with her for 10 months, so something deeper is drawing you to her. Let's not get in a fight over the Communist Party. She was born in China and taught to salute her flag. You were born in America and you were taught to salute yours. This is where East meets West. What you both need to focus on is Jesus. Let God take care of all that other stuff. But too many Christians in America say, well, you got to believe just like me, got to be a Republican, it got to be this. I will say this, and I won't get in trouble for this, but I don't care. I like to spike the punch bowl every so often because it's good. Stir up the party life a little bit. Anybody who's a born-again Christian and supports the Democrat Party, you are spiritually, you got a problem. Let me say that loud and clear, and I hope they put this all over the national news. If you're a born-again Christian and you're walking with Jesus and you support the Democrat Party and vote Democrat and call yourself a Democrat, shame on you. Now, I am not giving an endorsement of the Republicans. Republicans tend to favor corporations, but so does the Democrats. If you don't believe me, look at what Obama did with Obamacare, and they don't like to call it that. We call it the Health Care Reform Act. It didn't reform a damn thing. All it did was put more money in the HMO's pockets, and the big health cares out there, the big monsters, they're charging double now. Did you know that? So this argument that the Democrats use, the Republicans are big corporate money, gas-guzzling, oil-driven, let me remind all of my viewers that the Democrats and the Republicans, neither one of them have ever done anything to bring gas prices down. Please pay attention to that. And let me remind the Democrats and Republicans that Philip Morris, big tobacco, stinky, filthy, dirty, nasty habit that has contributed no good to American culture whatsoever, gives big contributions to both parties during campaign time. Any questions? Democrats and Republicans are both corporate driven, they're both dollar driven, and it's bullcrap. That fight is null and void. Where I disagree with the Democrats is their socialistic, godless stuff that they've inserted in their party to promote abortion, promote gay stuff, and thinking that they should take those of us who work hard and earn the money, that they should take our money and distribute it to everybody else. That's bull. Socialism is retarded unless it is God's socialism, that each man gave to everyone as he had need and shared all things as in common. Wouldn't that be nice if we did it willingly as hearts unto God, not because of government mandates, robbing the rich to pay the poor? Let's talk about how democracy or Democrat thinking has worked so well in America. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Cabrini Green housing projects, Section 8 housing and all that. Okay, that was to benefit single mothers. But guess what happened? You had a lot of black women having baby after baby after baby with party man, smoke, pot smoking, Bob Marley, Jamaican mentality, raping the system. Giving people handouts that won't get a job, that are living immoral lives, that are godless, that are takers, is not embodying what John F. Kennedy said. Ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. If JFK were alive today, he'd roll over. And John F. Kennedy was a Democrat. But John F. Kennedy would be considered Republican if he were alive today by today's standards. Forget about Marilyn Monroe and all his various sordid affairs. That's sad. Jackie Onassis was a pretty lady. What was his problem? His problem was he's a sinner like everybody else, which also shreds the myth that if you guys think you're going to find this hot woman and that will solve all of your wanderlust with women, you're full of it. There's always one more interesting, hot-looking woman that's going to walk into your view, and you're going to go, it's time to get real, folks. The Democrats are failing, Republicans are failing, and look what's happening right now. People running that aren't even politicians. People like Trump. Everybody's calling him arrogant. You notice all the trolls are coming out and attacking him now? None of them are running for president, though. I don't agree with Trump on everything, but you know why people like him? Because he's tired of his crap. A gridlock two-party system. Blame, 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 blame. 4 years of Republicans, 4 years of Democrats. 8 years of Democrats, 4 years of Republicans. Why does God let all this happen? Why does God let us all make choices? Why does he let everybody in the world make choices that interfere, screw up people's lives? Why does he allow that drunk in the bar to come cruising out at 2 o'clock in the morning and hit some woman driving her 8 children home and take all them and cripple all her kids, mess up her face, and he doesn't even have a freaking injury? I don't know. Why does he allow corporate idiots rape our country, pass laws that put more money in their pockets? Why does he allow Walmart? 4 people sit on Walmart making billions of dollars and they can't provide health care for their employees? You've got to be kidding me. I shop at Walmart because I'm not going to pay the rip. But Walmart is evil. Corporate greed run amok. Walmart bullies the suppliers. That is a fact. We're only going to pay this much for the radio. We can't sell them for that. So the supplier cheapens the product. You think that $100 radio you're getting is a deal? It'll last for 2 months. Throw it in the trash can. Of course, Walmart has a 90-day return policy. If it lasts 92 days, well, you're SOL. I have a lot of questions. Why does God let ugly, nasty, self-centered people prosper? Why does he allow honest, vulnerable people to get kicked and kicked and kicked? Why does he allow all these hot-looking women to get all the guys with the cars and the money? Why does he allow all these women to get blessed when they don't deserve 1 ounce of it? I don't know. When I'm in heaven, I won't ask those questions, because the minute I'm in glory, it won't matter anymore. We will not be looking at good-looking women up there the way we do now. There will be no princess syndromes up there, and there'll be no GQ mentality either. We're going to talk about heaven soon. Pacific's going to offer some thoughts about what he thinks it is going to be like. And I don't know all. It's just a couple things I can throw out there. But I got a dinner date to go on. So, for all the corporate people out there that think they're making such a big difference because they're pulling down good money and driving their Nissan Xterra with their suit and tie and cutting everybody off in public, I work with children. This is a special needs girl. And you know what? Corporate America isn't going to do a damn thing for her. Not a thing. But God loves her. And I pray that she will be in heaven someday when her time comes. I realize when I drive a bus, I'm not just driving a bunch of kids around. That I have an opportunity, though it doesn't seem like it at times, to make a difference. Corporate people are screwing people over and sucking the uniqueness that God has given me and other people, and I'm not going to have it. I like wearing my cutoff shirt. I will not dress for success. I will not read How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's garbage. I'm not going to play the game. I refuse to play the game. I have to at a certain point. But if God ever calls me into ministry, watch out, women. You better clear the deck. Because if you don't have your big panties on, we're going to have a church full of nothing but men who want to grow up in the faith. I don't know the answer to everything, why God does what he does. And sometimes it's causing me angst. Why do you keep letting my ex persecute me, harass, and be arrogant, and walk around like she's some expert parent who's for me? Why? I don't know. Do you think Joseph knew why he was thrown into prison? Do you think Joseph knew why the wine taster forgot him? Do you think he knew why his brothers threw him down the well? He did later. His brothers came to him and said, "Our father made us a deal before he died that you're not to kill us or do us harm." And Joseph says, "Come on, man. Who am I to play God? You meant it for harm, but God meant it for good. I'm not God. I'm done with it. I forgive you. You were dirty little rats, and I know that. But I'm not going to play God. It's over with. Look at what ended up happening. You got saved because you threw me in a well." Isn't that fun? What you meant for evil, God's got the last word, and now you're all bound to me, just like the sheaves. But this time Joseph has more maturity. I have to tell myself I don't know what's going on and why God allows all this nonsense. But it's not for me to know, apparently. And it's not for you to know all the nonsense that you're going through. Trust his heart. Trust his heart. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't look like God is good. Can we say that? But he is. God knows what we don't know. God sees what we cannot see. God has the whole curtain pulled back in front of him, and he's looking at the whole thing, and we're sitting there going, but God, you know, you gave me a mind, and I think I can pontificate on this. And God's going, my job, says the Lord, is to conform you to the image of Christ and bring you home and prepare a place for you. It's not about your SUVs and your latte and your doggy. It's about you being the clay and me being the potter, and I get to do what I want with that clay. Princess, So you keep working your boobs, girls. Keep sticking them in our face. Keep doing that. You're not honoring God. Don't be surprised if God jiggles you one day and says, breast cancer. Or something. And it may not happen. He may just do it at the end of the day and say, you know, you were arrogant, you were saved, and here's what you did with your life. Chaff, dust in the wind, no crowns, no rewards. You, the haughty-toddy that strutted your stuff on earth, get to come before God, and you will not get to hear these words, well done, thou good and hot chick. Nope. Well done, thou awesome, perfect 10, perfect breast, perfect form, beautiful hair. Nope. You're not going to hear any of that, and you're not going to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. There's going to be people that were uglier than you that are going to hear that. There are going to be a whole bunch of men that you snubbed and ignored that God's going to say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Women, you better take your looks and relegate them where they belong. Temporal. Put them on the shelf. Say, God, help me to serve you and not focus on my looks. I don't know why God gave these women the looks they gave them. He gave them. I don't get it. They don't deserve it at all. But I'm starting to realize something. If we think this through, men, and you women that aren't so pretty, that know this dynamic is going on, they're actually going to be very disappointed in the end because they built their whole life on chaff. Chaff. It's when you thresh wheat and all that dust comes off. That's chaff. And you know what happens with that stuff when you light a match? It goes, it ignites and it's out that fast. Corinthians talks about that. For American women and any woman in the world that play their beauty card, guess what's going to happen to them? All their works will be burned up. And if they know Jesus, they'll be saved, except barely, as though by fire. And guess what? Nothing to show for it. So, when we're getting jilted and stilted and snubbed and ignored and passed over, smile. Say, thank you, Lord, that she didn't choose me because she'd just be a distraction because we're insecure. And I go, oh, look at the hot girl at my side. When you don't have all that to worry about, a little easier to focus on the glory of God and the business of God. Do I have an amen on that? Yeah. Saturday Evening Post by Pacific. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. That we don't see it all now. We don't understand it all now. And if we're honest in our faith, we have a lot of questions. How come God lets me struggle and struggle and struggle and struggle with things too? And he doesn't just take them away. Why don't you just remove the temptations that I have and make me not desire those things anymore? I don't know. How come some people get saved and he removes their alcoholism, but they struggle with lust or smoking or I don't know. Because God is not a genie in a bottle. That's why. I watch Christians embracing New Age thought and things. I mean, if this woman really believes that sage drives a negative energy out of her house, no wonder my son's screwed up. No wonder this woman doesn't get it. You know, Shirley MacLaine stood on a beach and said, I am God. You know, false beliefs ultimately convince you to believe you're not so bad. Coming to Jesus, if you truly came to him, you should know that all our righteousness is as filthy rags. There is none righteous, no, not one. That we're only here by the grace of God. So when you come to Christ, ladies, don't think, oh, yep, here I am. No. You are still a dirty, rotten piglet. But you're a redeemed piglet. But a lot of American women, the ones with the looks, still run around in the world's pig pen. I'm beautiful. I'm hot. Oh, he's got such a nice car. I want a man who's financially secure. How about a man who's Jesus secure? How about a man who loves the Lord, follows the Lord, even though his life is hard? Could you fall in love with that? What if God asked you to take off that dress of yours, put on a pair of blue jeans, and stop shaking your tatas in people's face and go down to some village where the women there don't even look at you that way? They disregard you. But you got to translate the Bible in their language. I want to tell you something, ladies. Stop playing your beauty card. It's coming to an end. If you don't believe me, read in Revelation where the people that took the mark, they're going to have boils all over them. I wonder how many men are going to go, oh, wow, you look great with all those boils all over you, sweetie. God's going to start jiggling things real soon. We're sitting under grace right now. The fact that America doesn't implode on itself is just an act of God. The fact that things aren't worse than they are right now, the fact that I'm making a YouTube video is simply by His grace. God could shut me down. God could shut this country down. He could shut Denver down. He could shut these hot-looking women down. And the fact He doesn't do it is simply His grace. Long-sufferingness of God does not mean that it's a stamp of approval on your behavior. You better start thinking about that, church. You and me and all of us, that just because, oh, I did this and I got away with it, and God must understand. No, He doesn't understand. Just remember, keep tying that chain around your neck. Think you got miles and miles of chain. One of these days, all those people that are bondservants of Jesus, God's going to yank that chain out. He's going to call you into account. I got to go. Specific signing off. Happy Saturday, everybody.